now a giant robo panel.
I'm there. I'm there
the
for
Blue
that.
Beast.
Just throwing it out there, I always tease them with this. They did a voice on a project called Giant Robo, which is an OVA from the 90s, and it's the greatest anime you've never heard of.
Yeah.
I encourage everybody to please seek it out. It's
gorgeously animated.
Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and one of the most beautiful soundtracks you'll ever encounter. But we're here to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! All right.
Hey now. What's a Yu-Gi-Oh?
Oh, I don't know. It's like something to do with like a pyramid and some stuff. Yeah.
Sounds good.
But not the little digi monsters. It's not that.
Okay. It's hard to keep it straight.
No, let's keep it straight. Well, first of all, guys, thank you for joining us here this weekend. Hope you've had a good time.
Oh,
yeah.
pleasure.
Spectacular. Everybody's
You obviously
so
have heard
sweet
about
here.
Erica's gas problem.
That's why there's no one sitting next to me, I
That's
guess.
right.
I'm going to get you back. Do you just,
Oh, I bet
it
you
might
are.
not, it might not be today.
I bet you are.
But it will happen.
I'm going to pay for that.
Well, I've heard this story from you guys, but I'd love our audience to hear it. I'd love to hear the origin of how this series came about and your castings came about for each of you.
Yeah.
I think
Eric, you want to take the
Eric
lead? Yeah.
should take the reins on this.
All right, I'll take the reins.
You were there in the casting process in a way that neither of us were.
That's
On
true.
the casting couch.
That's true.
What?
It's the couch is the theme of the day. Sorry.
Apparently.
First of all, you guys having fun at this convention? Okay, that's what I want to hear. I mean, you guys are really just super nice fans. It's really great.
Yeah.
So, I was directing a lot of Pokemon. As you might know, I'm Brock and James from the OG, and I was also directing a lot of the other actors because I wanted to work in the evening, leaving my days free to audition for other voiceover work. And so I got the benefit of also being on both sides of the glass and working with a lot of these talented people who ultimately became my friends, or at least they tell me that. But when 4Kids decided to bring everything in-house because they had some new shows that they were going to be working on in addition to Pokemon, they asked me if I'd like to interview as a staff ADR director because I had been directing freelance for them for Pokemon. So I was like, great. And they brought me in, and they had already done a little bit of the casting for the show, and they show me this new series called Yu-Gi-Oh! And I watch about 5-10 minutes of it, and I turned to the producer, and I said, oh, this is going to be huge. And they were like, yeah, why would you say that? I said, oh, well, this is like Pokemon 90210. This is for everyone that grew up on Pokemon, is a little older.
90210 is a show from the early aughts, from the late 90s.
Yeah. Well, you got to remember when
For
the show...
those of you who are familiar with the term television.
I mean, what was this, 2001? 2000?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, so
you were right, though.
ask
that
your
show
parents.
was on.
Ask your parents.
Right. So I said, well, it's the same sort of format. It's, it's like it's friends working together. It's the monsters, the whole thing. There's redeemable qualities about every character, even the rival. And I was like, oh, this is great. And we had, there were two actors that they were trying to make their decision for Yugi back and forth, and they had done some other casting before me. But what they hadn't done is picked Seto Kaiba. And they're like, okay, we need to audition for Seto Kaiba. And I was like, all right. Now, for those of you who know the first episode we ever aired, it's all about Kaiba, right? So it's not like we could delay it very much. And we were doing promos, coming soon to the WB. Well, not if we don't cast Kaiba. And so I was being brought in as as a director, not as one of the actors. I was acting on other shows. So I wasn't about to volunteer that I could also play this character. That would be sort of double dipping. So we went through a huge casting process and auditioned a lot of our the male actors that you guys all know from a lot of the shows that we worked on. And the producer just was not hearing what they were looking for. And so at about, I don't know, we were about 2 weeks before, or 3 weeks before we were supposed to air that first episode. And the engineer that I was working with, Joe Shalik, we call him Vegas, turned to me, he's like, why don't you audition for this? I mean, isn't this something that you could do? And I was like, well, yeah, I think I could do this, but that'd be kind of weird to, put my name in the hat. And so the producer came in and I said, all right, look, I know you're not happy with any of this stuff. I think I know what you want. I think I get what you're missing, what you're not hearing. Let me dub half the episode. He didn't know me as an actor. He had hired me as the director. He had he had not been watching Pokemon like you guys. I said, I think I get the idea. It's the attitude. It's not the voice that you're looking for. So I said, I'll dub half the episode. If you like it, we'll make our air date because I can finish it. If you don't like it, I'll continue to cast. And so I did it. He came in and listened and said, yep, that's exactly what I wanted. Walked out, and Vegas turned around and said, you couldn't have done that like 2 months ago, so we might have had a lunch break or something like that? But that's my story of how I got on the show. But what was great was, Dan and I had known each other from earlier shows and things like Slayers. And stuff like that. So we knew each other, but we were not like buddies hanging out. And I had not directed him yet.
That's a nightmare.
It truly is. But and we were sort of finding the voices together because the team was not really sure of what they wanted. And Dan's normal speaking voice is this big booming voice, but Yugi had to be this higher register thing, and so it was like, is it too high? Are we going lower? Is it how to really make this the differentiation between the two? And I can say that one of the coolest things about working on that show, besides being so proud of the work we've done, is I made some of my closest friends. I mean, Dan and I are like best friends. I can say that from that experience of being able to work together. And then with Erica, and I'll let her tell her own story with that. But these are all my friends.
You're gonna have to fill in all the blanks for me, though.
I'll fill in some of the blanks.
His memory is the best.
But I mean, I benefited in a different way from the show because I was behind the scenes as well. A lot of us work just, we go in and we work at one at a time. We are there with the engineer and the producer or the director, maybe. Sometimes the engineer is also the director. So it's rare that the actors get to be there together if we're doing dubbing like that. And so I know all of these people because I got to not only see them passing in the hall, but work with them for hours and hours, for years. So anyway, that's my long-winded story.
I don't even know if, I'm pretty sure My Valentine appeared before Dark Magician Girl. Or we could just ask the audience. Does anybody remember? Speaking Dark Magician Girl.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, and so...
Yeah, I mean, the character, for sure.
I mean, Eric was a big part of why I was cast, but I got called in to be a replacement for Megan Hollingshead, who we all love, who was moving to the West Coast, and we did not do remote work back then, so it was like Megan had to say goodbye to her parts. And years later, we met in November of 2021 and adore each other.
There was a small knife fight prior to that.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a duel between the Mize, dueling Mize. But no, it was a natural, really nice transition. I got the part initially because of the essence and vocal match, and then when I started working with Eric, he was like, "I'd like to do this a little different. I'd like to add this. I'd like to change that." And I was like, "Oh, this is kind of cool." I thought I was going to do like a direct, exact vocal match, and he's like, "No, because." And here's where you can kind of interject why you wanted to do that. There were a couple reasons, as I recall.
Well, also when you're bringing in someone to play a role that someone else has played. I mean, we have this conversation even just yesterday. It's like, I'm a huge Batman fan, right? And we all have our favorite version of Batman, but many people can play that character because they bring their own thing to it, right? Whether you're like a Christian Bale Batman fan or whatever, or Michael Keaton, whatever it is. It's the same sort of thing. You want it to not be shocking when you're bringing in, especially in voiceover work where the animation is not changing, the voice is changing, right? It's one thing if it was on camera and I was like, oh, Megan is leaving and then Eric is coming in. It's like the two Darrens on
you
Bewitched.
don't want it to be like...
That's a really
Bewitched
old
is a
reference,
TV show.
I summon Harpy Lady.
Ask your grandparents.
But when Erica came in to do this, to do the voice match, we started with that. And once we got through the approval process from all the powers that be, like, yes, this makes sense because that's what you had to do. It's a whole committee, right? It's not like I made that choice. Now, I recommended Erica for it and brought her in for it. It wasn't like I was casting for it. I was like, I know who can do this. And then
it's never one person's decision.
No,
that's the
but
thing
normally
that
they would have
is real, but
yes.
it never is.
Normally they would have made me bring in like 10, 15 people and go through this whole big casting thing, but I was like, no. Like I know what I'm looking for. This will be an easy transition. But the other thing is once that role is then booked by someone else, then you should be able to play and bring what that person as an actor can do that's different. So it's her interpretation of this character. Once we all agree, okay, we have a new voice doing this, but it's a different approach. So yeah, that was, so we did a lot of things. And I remember you once saying to me, even with some of the other shows that we worked on together, where I brought you in for things, I would say, okay, you've never done something like this, but I know you can. I need you to be X, Y, and Z. And you would say, did I ever do that dialect for you? And I don't know if I can. I'd be like, I know you can. You can. And I feel like a good director is also understanding that modeling clay that they have when they have a very talented person or people, what they can get them to do based on what you've heard them do. So
we also had a very common vocabulary, all of us.
Yes.
So if he said, make it more a la Lucy, for example, I would know what that meant, and I would be able to
Lucy
add
Ball
that in.
is an actor from a TV show.
Yeah,
Just
there are directors that will give you line readings. There are directors that will give you,
Wiki Dan, everyone.
But
Wiki
but
Dan.
I like to give examples of something that I like that's relative to that, for you to then go, oh, I know what you mean. Oh, this needs to be more Mel Brooks. Oh, okay, I get the shtick you want from that kind of thing. That's my approach.
But he wouldn't say that to a 2020-year-old today. You would.
I
Find
still
something-
wouldn't. I'd make you look it up or call your grandparents.
Right.
Because in
It's
comedy,
like that TikTok. Remember that one TikTok?
because in comedy there is nothing new. And if you want to see where it all came
It's
from,
true.
you should
It's
go
all
back to the
it's all
beginning.
recycled.
That's right.
It really
That's
is.
very true.
Absolutely. Well, what's been the best thing to come out of being associated with this show?
Well, for me, that's a very, very easy answer. And there's the things that you would expect me to say, like what a privilege it was to portray a couple of characters that had such an interesting interrelationship with each other in a series that had a beginning and a middle and an end, which left the audience with a conclusion not only to their story, but also something significant, which we all have to face at one point in our lives, is saying goodbye to somebody you truly care about. But hopefully at that point you've become what you need to be in order to let them go. And so, being a part of something that has resonated with so many people is really just a privilege. As I've often said, I was just trying not to get fired. I had no idea that years later people would still care. So I'm hugely grateful for that. But what makes it hands down the thing I'm most grateful for is if I hadn't done that show, I wouldn't have met my wife. I wouldn't have the kids that I have today. And that I also wouldn't have had such strong relationships with these two wonderful people. So there's nothing else that compares to that.
Oh, I should have spoke for a long time. You go next.
I'm happy. I know that story, and I'm really happy you told it. And I would have to agree. I mean, there's nothing like a bond between cast members who love and respect each other. We did only get to pass each other in the hallways and stuff, but often we would say, hey, let's go for a drink, or hey, we're going to be here at 4. Oh, I have a session till 5. I'll meet you after. Hope you're still there.
Right.
And there would be a lot of bonding experiences just from, having places that we would hang out at that were near the studio. And, if we hadn't done the show, I wouldn't have these friendships that I have today. I wouldn't get to be the other ES, which is how I sign every text message and email to this guy.
And I only get a small percentage for that. But I'll also throw this in. So I definitely benefited from when I was doing more of my shows with music. I had fan interaction, right? I'd play in front of a live audience. But doing what we do, we don't get that benefit in doing voiceover work, especially with ADR, being alone in a booth like that. So one of the things that really resonates with me personally, because I'm a gamer geek. We're all like the quirky kids at school, right? That's what it is. And this community, made up of so many creative people, so many people that might just be a little different in a cool way. Here, that's normal. Getting the opportunity to meet you guys and hear your stories of how you were connected to the characters of the shows, and it's not about like, hey, Eric, great job, you did a great job at voice acting. It's much more of like how that show helped you make friends, or you really related to that. You're going through a tough time, and you connected to that character, because I had that. growing up myself, I was that kid. You know, I was the new kid in school. I was the angry young man. I was, you know, trying to fit in with different groups and always, of course, still choosing to do my own thing. And I wish that when I was younger, there was more of this type of a community for the kind of fandom that I had. I didn't even know that that existed. So that benefit of working on, especially 2 shows that I think will last longer than I'll ever be on this earth, that's a bonus. You know, Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! To me are a great message. There's something very, very wholesome about it, even as, you know, much you want to say you hate Kaiba. I know you really like him, you feel for him. But I love this. So I love these people, but this is something that I wasn't expecting, and it's just such a bonus. So I thank you for that.
And my son plays Yu-Gi-Oh! Now.
There you go.
Oh,
And
wow.
so
There
it's
you
like,
go.
it's really special. It came full circle. And to listen to like 20 and 30-year-old men and women play online with him during the pandemic, and I was at the top of the stairs listening, supervising, was very moving because he's 11. He was 11 at that time, and I thought, they're going to be so annoyed. They're going to be like, why did they put me with this 11-year-old? But he never told anybody who his mother was. No one. He's like, I want to win. I want to go. I want to, you know, do this of my own merit. But he would ask question after question, and how sweet and patient this community was with him was literally, I would cry because I was like, this is so beautiful. Everyone was so kind to him, and that made it even more special years later to have that experience with him bonding with it, and then everyone just being so gentle and patient with him. I thought was really special.
I've always said that this community is a great example of how we can behave in real life to each other. I just think that's the inclusion and diversity is what makes, you know, hey, here's an example. Try to be like this. So.
Yeah.
Well, friends, thank you for indulging my capricious curiosity. Before I go and take other wonderful questions, on behalf of myself and everybody, I just want to thank you all.
Thank
you
you.
for your talents, for your professionalism, and for the performances and the work in front and behind the glass you did in this series and all the other roles. You have made a lot of great memories for a lot of people, and just thank you all for your collective body of
Thank
work.
you. Thank you.
Our privilege. Our privilege.
And you guys had to muscle through. You were on magnetic tape days, weren't you?
Me? Well, in music, yes.
Yeah, okay.
I learned how to edit with a razor blade and tape hanging around my neck.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
oh yeah, I'm old. I'm
Those are the
old.
days.
It's
Yeah.
like if the Flintstones. There was a bird chipping away a piece of stone.
Send in Mr. Slate. Miss Beasley, send in Mr. Slate. It's a living. All right, folks, we got a spotter right over here. This is so that the camera can get on you. And where's the first one? Get 2. Hey. Hi, what's your name?
My name's Zed, and I was wondering, what's your favorite Millennium item from Yu-Gi-Oh?
Well, easy for me. Millennium Puzzle for sure. Yeah.
I like when we stuffed that eye into Pegasus.
Oh! Yikes!
I'm gonna throw it back at you. What's your favorite?
Mine is Yu-Gi-Oh's, like, the puzzle.
Yeah, the Millennium Puzzle rocks.
How hard is that to put together? I'm just curious.
Very.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right, I need
like
to
a
get
Rubik's
one.
Cube.
I need
Have
to
you
get
ever known
one.
anyone else who's done it?
No. Good question, though. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Good one to start us off with. Hi, what's your name?
Jeremiah. Hey, Jeremiah, what do you want to know? What is your favorite episode of the series?
Favorite episode?
Favorite episode? I don't know if I could say a favorite, but I know that I really loved when Mai and Joey were battling. I found that I didn't watch it until years later. A fan sent it to me. A lot of times we don't see things until fans DM us scenes like that were meaningful to them, and I cried. I was like, wow, this is like really beautiful scene. So for me, I really love that specific moment in that episode, but it's too hard to say a complete favorite, but that is one of mine. Eric, you were going to say something.
I don't have a favorite episode, but I have a favorite sort of story arc. I like when we go back to the Egyptian story arc because I think it sort of clarifies to everyone what the true relationship is between Seto and the pharaoh. And in modern day, they need to be, rivals. That's sort of how it works. But then when we see in the ancient Egyptian side of it, I'm truly his lieutenant, his sparring partner, right? And we are a team. So
Right.
I just liked that was revealed that way. It took a while to get there, but it sort of justified my performance the way I was approaching it for the start of the season.
Made you slightly less of a jerk.
Exactly. A little redeeming.
And I like the conclusion of the series. There's so much to like along the way, but as I mentioned before, that it actually was building to make a point is not something that you see in every series, and I thought that was very cool.
Yeah, good question.
Do you have a favorite?
No, I like all of them.
All of
Hard,
it, right?
It's hard to ask. It's
The
hard
whole
to nail
thing,
down.
man.
Well, great question, though. Thank you. Hey. Hello, what's your name?
Ciara,
Hi.
I was wondering, is there one song that you would associate with your characters? Like, is there one song that, like, you listen to and you instantly think of, like, Yugi, Kaiba, or Mai?
I had never considered that question before.
That is a great question.
It's a very good question.
I have an answer for this one, only because I was singing one of my husband's songs last year, and I sang it a couple times in my recording studio, and I was like, God, I love this song. Who does it remind me of? Who does it remind me of? Or who do I think of for some reason? Because the character was very sassy. And I thought of my Valentine, and the song is called The Man I Loved, and I ended up doing a music video as my Valentine that I released on Valentine's Day on Instagram. And my husband wrote that song, but it reminds me of a song that she would sing if she were in that particular situation that I placed her in, if that makes any sense.
Crystal Gale, don't it make my brown eyes blue?
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a song by Sting called Shape of My Heart, and the lyrics are largely about this card player.
Question. Thank you. Hi, what's your name?
My name's Destiny. My question was, for someone who's just starting out voice acting and getting ready for auditions, what do you think the best piece of advice you could give to that person would be?
I've taught that for several years, and this is something you'd hear for anybody who does teach that kind of stuff. Acting is the most important part of voice acting. Don't limit yourself to voice acting when you're learning about acting, and get as much experience as you can.
I'm going to second Dan on that.
Yeah, and I'll throw in one other thing is that don't limit it to just, oh, I want to be an anime cartoon voice
that's what
actor,
I mean,
right?
yeah.
Right? In terms of voice acting. Like, I don't do any on-camera stuff. Obviously, you see my face. But it's anything that involves the voice. So whether it's phone prompts or industrials or audiobooks, whatever it is, any opportunity, rather than I've definitely met a few people that have said, I want to do what you do. I want to do voiceovers so that I can sign autographs at conventions. I'm like, well, then don't be an actor.
That's not the reason to do it.
Okay, so
no.
any, like they're saying, any opportunity, but also don't limit yourself to, you might want to do cartoons. That might be your favorite thing to do.
Sure.
And you guys know me from that world, but the majority of the voice acting that I do, or the voiceover work that I do, is I do all of the training narrations for Nissan and how they should sell their cars.
He does it in the voice of James, though. It's really entertaining.
Ooh, this car is fantastic.
Oh my God! But to add what they both said, if you don't have any money and you really want to start training, community theater. If you can get in your community theater and just learn from that, that's the best way when you have no money at all. And getting on stage is really, it's something you shouldn't skip in the process of becoming an actor.
Also, if you're wanting to pursue the art form of portraying a character, and it's never occurred to you that you should still be in character when your character has no lines, then you have a lot more to imagine about what it is to be an actor.
Good
Yeah.
question.
Hey,
well done.
I
Good
like
luck.
that,
Good luck in your
Dan.
journey. Well, sorry. Good luck in your journey, and it is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And I
Ooh,
look
that's
forward.
a good
And I
one.
look forward to hosting you on this stage someday. All right.
Good luck to you.
Yes. Now, Eric. Now I got the idea of a Nissan salesman just going, "Yeah, it's nice. Ooh, it's fantastic."
Yes, I know. Wouldn't you buy a car from James from Team Rocket? You totally would.
You're gonna have a deal by next year, I think.
Hi. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Scarlett. Hello again.
Hello
Hey,
again,
Scarlett.
Scarlett.
My question is, if your Yu-Gi-Oh characters went to a bar, who would be the first to get kicked out?
Oh.
That's
is the
easy.
best.
That would be Kaiba in a second.
No, it would be Yugi because he's underage.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Right. Yeah. No, I thought. I was thinking if Kaiba got kicked out, though, he would then come back and buy the bar.
I was gonna, yeah.
It might be Mai for hitting on Joey.
Well, maybe. Maybe.
That boggled the mind. Thank you. Fun
Good question.
Hello, what's your name?
Brandon.
Hey, Brandon.
So I know I walked up to your booth and you said you do the Pharaoh and Yugi at 2 separate times.
Yeah, that's right.
But I gotta say, it's a small moment where little Yugi goes like, "Okay, Teia's gonna help you figure this out," and and Yugi just goes, "All right, Pharaoh, you're up," and then boom, the Pharaoh,
yeah.
and he just yells, "This isn't a duel! Dang it, Yugi!" I thought you just delivered that. I was dying laughing and just.
That's one of my favorite moments.
Yeah, where it's like, this isn't a duel, yada yada, and then it goes, "Hi."
Yeah, not a lot of opportunity for the Pharaoh to be funny. I was very grateful for that little bit of silliness. Yeah, that was fun, for sure.
Laughing after you recorded that?
As a performer, I never am completely satisfied with anything that I do. I just hope that it worked, and if people tell me later that it did, I feel very validated by that. So, yeah.
Thank you. Did anybody else have a line that you just think, if you hear it, like, play it again, it's, because as actors, we're our worst critics. So there's ones that, oh, wow, you know what? I actually nailed that one pretty good.
Oh, there's definitely some funny moments that I appreciate, definitely. But I also give a lot of credit to the writers. We had some really, really good writers. I can say that I delivered it well, but I also had great material to work with.
There is a line, though. So Eric needed some lines to be put in to fill up the shot. There wasn't anybody talking. In the United States, we get very anxious about that. It's fine in Japan, right? They understand that silence has a value in their storytelling. Well, anyway, so to fill up this space, the friends they're in a camping situation, and so he said, "Hey, Dan, I just need something to cover this shot," right? And they were, supposedly getting ready, making food or whatever. So I just said, "Joey, I don't think you're supposed to cook the candy bars." And I hadn't, I just come just off the cuff, and of course Wayne followed up beautifully by saying something along the lines of, "Shut up, I know what I'm doing," or Those little things can happen now and then.
Hey, what's your name?
Hey, Misha from Oklahoma City.
Hey.
Has there been any interactions recently between you guys on hints of collaboration or any other projects?
Shh, don't tell.
Like,
No.
I know you're under this character trademark licensing.
Why would you
but
say
just
that?
curious.
Who's been talking to you?
I know.
Why don't you tell them, Dan?
About what we could do?
No collaboration.
Oh.
These guys collab a lot. I'll just.
Are you talking
introduce that.
specifically to Yu-Gi-Oh or just in general in Creek?
Yu-Gi-Oh!
But if you have something in general, that's fair game.
Oh, well.
Well, a few years ago, Eric and I started our own production company called Andromeda Productions. And in this last year, we've really been pulled in different directions, so we haven't been producing much. But we have a podcast called The Heart of the Cards, which is not about playing the game, but it is a conversation about creativity and inspiration and dealing with what you're anybody can understand what we're talking about. And in that conversation, we don't presume to know better than anybody. But anyway, and you can find that podcast on YouTube at Andromeda Productions. But we also have a number of other things. There's a series called Crossing the Gods that I've been developing for years, and we recorded Erica and many other people that you would recognize from the show, and the performances are great. Unfortunately, I took on the responsibility of doing the visuals, and that takes a long time. So that's another thing. And then there's a little audio short story, a full cast thing that we've been also looking forward to doing. But related to Yu-Gi-Oh, an idea I had a little while ago, a couple of years ago, was what if we took the manga and narrated it?
Season
with the
0.
original cast.
Starting with season 0.
Yeah. So I put about a minute of it on my socials at Dan Green Voices, and on Instagram and/or X, Twitter, whatever we're calling that now. And anyway, and it was just the scene where Kaiba swipes Blue Eyes from Yugi, spoiler alert. And, Eric read Kaiba's lines, I read Yugi's lines, but I wanted it to feel like you're reading the manga. So we had the images from those pages. We're going from right to left, right? And people responded to it, and I thought it would be a really cool way for people who are fans of those voice actors to hear them portray those characters again. It wouldn't be exactly the same as the series that you watched because it was adapted from that manga, but there would be some similarities which you might find interesting, but it also feel also pretty fresh. And I thought it would be a fantastic tribute to Takahashi. It's because it would be literally looking at his, and we wouldn't Americanize the names.
Yeah,
right?
we were going to do it
exactly
just like he wrote it.
verbatim as intended from the artist. Yeah.
And I personally want to see our characters in Shakespearean times.
Oh yeah, that's another great idea.
I want to see us in that timeline, all our characters. Just something that I've always wanted to see. And we did that once. Wayne and I were at a university, and as Mai and Joey, we performed scenes from Romeo and Juliet, which was freaking hilarious, let me tell you.
That could work. I would like to see a Yu-Gi-Oh! Rock opera, but that's just me. Like
well, Erica's wanted us to do an album for years.
Oh yeah, I just think that it would be the coolest because I mean, most of the actors on the show can sing.
It's weird, right?
We could
How
do some.
many of us
We
can
could
sing?
do some pretty cool stuff. I'm just saying. It'd be one thing if like the fans bombarded Konami with like emails. I'm just saying.
I mean, I already started. I would like to push us in that direction.
That would be
wouldn't
cool.
mind
But
it.
great question for that. Yes.
Yes, wonderful question. Thank you.
Hi, what's your name?
Hello, my name is Luke,
Hi.
and my question was, if your characters were like Pokemon trainers, what kind of trainer would they be? Like, how would they treat their Pokemon?
That's easy. First of all, Kaiba would have Charizard, who I also play, because it's a dragon. That's a no-brainer.
If the Yu-Gi-Oh characters
Was a
Pokemon trainers?
Pokemon trainer.
Oh yeah, well I couldn't imagine anything but Yugi be just being wonderfully compassionate and caring. Yeah.
Dark Magician Girl, if she could be the trainer, would have a Sylveon. No doubt. For so many reasons, right? I think that would be my answer. Because she's a performing Pokemon, too.
Yeah. There you go.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Great
we'll
one.
start
Thank
working
you.
on that show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, what's your name?
Wendy, hello again, you three. I've met you guys before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi. I do have a question for the three of you. What was it like being a part of Yu-Gi-Oh! Doodling since it's been almost like 7 years? Have you guys had like any memories from it? And
You mean the
like
video game? You mean the video game stuff?
Yeah, the one that's on like the PC and such.
Yeah, I love the fact that fans complain that I keep beating them in the game.
I haven't gotten to play it or see it. Like, it's so funny. I actually, and I know in this game it doesn't count, but usually there are times where I'm on like video game panels and people ask me if I play video games, and I say no. I only want to die once. There's just it's something anxiety-inducing for me with video games. I love to put myself in the peril of the character in the moment, but to be on the outside when I have no control whatsoever, or at least I feel that way, I don't like it. You know what I mean? So it's funny. I have my part, and you guys have your part, right? So you're the professionals of that side, and I'm the professional of that side. But I think you guys both like both sides. You guys like to play. You guys have groups.
I'm a big gamer, but
Don't you guys have, like-
it's fun to do those games. But what's weird to me is that it's really like acting in a vacuum because not only are we just doing the lines in random order, they are triggered by the different things you're doing in the game and what you do. So there's no rhyme or reason necessarily to how I would have given you, my performance. It's very piecemeal. So
it's also very general, broad stroke. Like here's a big pain react. Here's a small pain react.
Yeah. So if it was live where I was actually playing against you and I could comment, that to me would be like more of the performance. I love that we've been part of it for a long time, but I can't tell you that it's consistent to what I would do as a human, right?
Now I want to hear a large Yugi pain react.
Oh, just wait until the end of the day.
Okay.
Thank you. Good question.
Yeah, absolutely great one. Thank you. Good. Hello, what's your name?
Wesley. So, I know that the Pharaoh went back to his time, and so he and Yugi, like went their separate ways.
Okay.
But my question for all of you is, you got nods to the original series very slightly in spin-offs going forward. What do you think that each of your characters' paths would have been after the original show had ended?
I think Yugi would have created his own game.
I think you have to watch the music video that I created to see. Because it's pretty clear what I think.
I don't know. I don't think Kaiba would ever be satisfied even with just, finally getting a chance to duel the Pharaoh. I think that there is, based on his personality, I think that that's one of the ways he protects himself and his brother is constantly trying to stay on top of everything, in control of everything. When you can't control things, you maybe aggressively pursue to control everything. I don't think Kaiba would ever chill.
Oh, also, I'll add to mine. I think that not only Yugi would come up with his own game, but I think Yugi would figure out a way to use game theory to solve our biggest problems.
There you go.
Great, well, great question. Thank you. Hi, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Dustin, and I was wondering if you had Seto Kaiba's infinite money, what sort of dual event would you hold?
Okay, so I know this is going to break.
I'm a little nervous.
Will it break the internet,
This
though?
is going to break your image of how I play this character. I'm actually truly like a real softie. So if I had all of Kaiba's money, I would create the world's largest farm for rescue animals. I'm serious.
That's true. He would.
That to me is one of my goals. I just feel that I would give everybody a house and I would feed people. Those are the three things that I would do. I'm much more of a softie than the character I play, but the rescue farm thing, because I think Jon Stewart has that. He has a farm where he does that. I wish I could do that. I can't even go to a shelter because I will want to take everyone home. So there you go. I wouldn't do anything Kaiba asked. Sorry to disappoint.
All good, all good. Hey, what's your name?
Tate, and hello there, Kaiba boy.
Very good, Pegasus.
All right, so...
Did you bring enough for the whole class, though? In your cooler?
The brains.
Yeah, did you bring it? Okay, great. Just double checking.
So when the original series ended, did any of you ever try to audition for any of the characters in like future renditions?
I think I was in six out of, how many are there now? 7 or 8?
I don't know.
8?
We've played characters in a bunch of the different versions. I mean, I'm Bastion on GX. Of course, I directed that too, so I knew the director.
Not that he ever likes to recommend himself for roles.
No.
I think I'm in 7 out of 8 of them. But yeah.
Trudge appears in the original series and happened to carry over in 5Ds. But otherwise, I didn't really feel comfortable coming back to it because of the first, show. So, although we did recently make an appearance in the new one.
Yeah.
Doing very different characters.
We're doing a very surprise little thing, which we can't really reveal yet, though we are on that show. The three with Ted.
With Ted.
With Ted Lewis. We play a little group. That's
Really? Even I don't know these things.
Yeah.
Deep, dark secrets of
Good
Yu-Gi-Oh!
question, though.
Good one, thank you. We have time for one more, so...
Here it comes.
All right.
No
Hey,
pressure
what's your name?
whatsoever.
My name's Ian. What you got? Well, I'd like to start by saying thank you for lending your voices to these characters that were such a large part of my childhood, and I'm sure many others in this room. My question is, what is it like still getting to lend your voices to these characters 20 plus years later?
It's like visiting an old friend, really. Recently, can't say what, but similar situation. Just revisited one of my characters, and it had been a really long time. And I got to go down memory lane and research myself and kind of relive some of the moments, and that was really special. But I think it's like visiting an old friend, and it's quite a heartwarming thing to do.
Yeah, and as I said before about like the different interpretations of these characters, right? Because I did not create, James and Brock and Kai. I did not create them. It's my interpretation of these characters. Those voices that I gave them, that you might, be part of your childhood if you say that to me, and I'm completely flattered. They're me. They are me. So whether I am dubbing them, or just speaking them to you guys at the table, or doing a voice recording for you, or talking to my kids in silly voices. They are a part of me. And just recently, not to be sort of depressing, but just recently, as I'm sure many of you know, we just lost the very talented Rachel Lillis, who played Misty and Jessie and many, many other characters. We just lost her very recently, and it was very, very sad. And we just did a little Zoom memorial service for her, which was it just was great. It just was really great to just be able to celebrate her life. But they put together a compilation of some of her best moments, and a lot of them involved my performance with her. Now, when I say with her, I don't mean with her because we were never in the booth together, right? We worked independently, but we understood each other. Whether she went first as Jessie or I went first as James, whatever, it always sounded like we worked together because we got it. And so in terms of doing those voices, to me, it is the legacy. It means so much to me because you laughed when I did my silly car commercial thing as James. If that's the way that voice can affect people, I'll be a happy man for the rest of my life. So those characters, whether I'm doing them on the show or I'm doing them to you in person, are me. So I appreciate that. That's from my heart.
Yeah, I echo a lot of what they just said, especially with it's like returning to old friends. People ask me, what was it like, to do Dark Side of Dimensions? I think I used exactly those words. And it's wonderful to make these appearances because we get to keep on doing these characters in these, very specific contexts. And one of the things that I am appreciating more and more recently is that there's this community that has embraced this work, to the level that they have. And any one of us kind of has now been given this sort of special superpower, where depending on whatever character we portrayed that one of you might really love, we have the ability, thanks to you, for embracing it, where we can say a word or a phrase, and all of a sudden, you're 12 again, or however old you were, and we can see the endorphin rush go through your body, with especially with the little kids who are completely uncensored. They're just like, whoa, and it's just like so adorable, and it's a humbling position to be in because. I don't think that any of us feel like we did anything terribly great to earn it, but here we are in this position. And there's so many talented actors in the world that never get the opportunities that we've had to connect with so many people. So it's humbling and it's inspiring and it's something that I just feel that I'm a part of. I just got lucky to be included in this community, and I'm very, very grateful.
Yes, thank you.
That was a great note to end on, I think.
Absolutely. Animate 2024, this was the cast of Yu-Gi-Oh! And that was our time. But before we go, we're going to take our stay selfie with this amazing cast
all
and
right.
all of
Here we
you.
go.